Good afternoon, thanks for stopping into my channel. So in my last video we installed the wideband air fuel ratio gauge in, and I asked to leave a comment below what you guys wanted me to put in the third spot of my gauge pillar, because I have an empty spot still. Everybody said to do the oil temp. A couple people said trans temp, but maybe I didn't explain it very well. My gauge cluster is out of a Denali, so it has the trans temp already. So, you know, putting that aside, oil temp is what everybody else said, so that's what we're going to do. So this video is more of a general LS video, not necessarily a Silverado video or a vlog, I guess. I'm going to show you the two ways that you can add an oil feed or an oil temp port on the LS's, because they're all the same. They all come this way. There's a piece you could do and modify that's factory. I don't have that, so this is more of a bolt-on one, and I'll explain that a little more as we get to that. So here, like I said, here's the 10 series glow shift, and here are the two different means of getting a port in your engine for access to the oil. This is a glow shift sandwich adapter, which I don't have the little thread extender on there, it's lost somewhere, but this one comes with 4 ports, so I mean you can add tons of stuff. Adds a little bit of thickness so your oil filter will stick a little further down. It's got a gasket, it goes to the block, and then your filter goes to that. Or if you want a nice, clean, simple setup, this is what is required. This is a piece that fits the oil cooler on the LS engines. The half tons don't come with an oil cooler, they're actually blocked off. So you can tap and drill that one if you'd like. I know a lot of people don't really have access to tons of tools or even want to try and do it themselves, so this is a very easy way to go. This was off eBay. I only paid like 15 bucks for it. It's billet aluminum, and all you have to do was look on this and see what size thread the sensor was, and just search and then find the one on eBay or whatever store that you use has the same threaded hole in it. Alright, now let's open this thing up and see what we got inside. Now right off the bat, I can tell you that the buttons are different on this one. They seem a little more high quality, but I mean, it's glow shift. Not talking smack about glow shift, they're great and I've not had a problem with mine, but they're just not auto meters. Okay, so they come with all the wiring and everything. There's the instructions. So here's the sensor I was telling you about. And I looked online when I was buying this. It is 1/8 National Pipe Thread in PT. So when I was looking at the this oil block off deal on eBay, I just made sure that the one I ordered had the same threads in it. It's difficult with one hand. There's that. This is the route I'm going to go, obviously. I don't really see a reason to have this one. I don't even know why I got it, but this is the cleaner way to go. I'll show you here in a second. So this is what I'm talking about, the oil cooler block off. See, mine is aftermarket. When I bought this engine, put it in, it was out of a 3/4 ton van, so it had the oil cooler provisions, and I didn't need it or want it or whatever, so I got the block off plate. So this will come off and I'll put the other piece on. Not entirely sure if oil's going to come out of that or not, so we'll get a drain pan just to make sure we don't spill over the driveway. This is the driver's side of the engine, and all LS engines have these. It's on the oil pan, so wherever your oil filter is, it's going to be next to it. So just start things off, you're going to want some sort of sealer for this. It is pipe thread, so you might not need it, but I'm going to do it anyway. I don't have any of that, the oil rated Teflon tape or whatnot. I do, however, have some ARP thread sealer, so I'm going to put a little bit on there and hook it up and let it start setting so we don't get any leaks when we put it on. But we'll go ahead and do that so we can set up while we put the gauge in, and then by the time we're done with that, this should be set and ready to go, and then we can put that on the block. So you'll end up with something like this. You can see this says turbo. I forgot to mention this in the beginning part of the video. This is not just for like an oil temperature sensor. You can also use that port on the LS blocks to feed your turbos, because turbos have to have an oil system of some sort. So this could feed your turbo, and then you have to find a different place to drain back into the engine. But this is, I guess, something you could use for your oil cooler, and if you had twin turbos or single turbo, either way, you could feed your turbos with that. But since we only have one, sensor, this is the cleaner route to go. But this is more general if you want to add an oil feed of some sort. This is one of the cool things about the 10 series on the Glow Shift. They have these little pigtails that are made to fit into this one. You see, you have a diagram with the ports and whatnot. If you have 2, 3, or 4 of these Elite series, the 10 series, you plug into this one that already has power, and you plug this into the next one, so you can daisy chain them all together, so you'll have one wire going into the cab, and then they will all power each other, which I think is pretty cool. So if you get all Glow Shift 10 series, either the black ones or the white ones, you can hook them up that way, and it makes the install a lot cleaner. You don't have wires going to every one, you just hook them all together, make it way easier. So now we're letting the sealer set up. We're going to find where we're going to run the wires. So to get this guy off, you kind of just wedge your fingers up in there and pull. You see the pin thing gets stuck in there. So that is actually supposed to pop out. That is supposed to stay on here, but it's just plastic, and you can see from being taken on and off so many times, it's kind of just chewed through it. So pull it out and then stick it back on. Okay. And now we gotta get these things out. If you don't have any of these are good investment. These are off of Amazon. They're panel removal tools. They come in a set of like 5 or 6 or something, different angles and different thicknesses and whatnot. They're really handy for getting things apart, and they're soft and they don't scratch up your interior. Maybe I spoke too soon. There we go. One out. Alright. Go get our gauge, stick it in there. Kind of a tight fit. Maybe get a razor blade, I'll kind of trim that up a little bit. It's a better idea. Get some sandpaper, we'll just take a little bit off. Be a little more even this way. Let's see if that did it. bit better. Of course, I didn't do it straight enough. Rotate it a little bit. I think that's good. I think that'll do. Now this is what I'm talking about, the Glow-Shifts daisy chain deal. It'd be really nice if I had all three of the same gauge. That way I wouldn't have all these extra wires. And that's why I want to get the Elite 10 series, not the 7 series. The 7 series is more the Glow-Shifts budget model. They're a little bit cheaper. That's why I got that one first. But I think I will end up getting the 10 series. That way I can clean this up. And I'll show you too when you turn them on. These ones are just plain. They just turn on, power up. These ones, when they turn on, the needle goes all the way up and then back down, kind of like the newer cars do, which I think is cool. Kind of just in a visual appealing thing. Not a huge deal breaker, but makes it look a little more fancy. Okay, and just like last time, we're gonna, before we put it back together, we're gonna make sure it works. Okay. I don't know what that's about, but it does have power. I'll show you what I mean. So this one, when you turn it on, it kind of does that sweeping thing, which is kind of cool. This one, however, does not. It just power. That's it. Okay, so now that we know it works, we can go ahead and put this back together and stuff all the wires in there so you can't see anything. Actually, correction, before we do that, we need to run the sensor wires to the sensor itself. So let's do that. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, now that the inside is done, we got the wires ran through the firewall, and I think it's time to take off the oil block-off plate. So we'll get a drip pan so we don't spill on the driveway, just in case anything pours out. Okay, so oil will come out. Get the other one ready. Swap them real quick. Well, as you can see, there's a little bit of an issue. It didn't fit, and again, this is my fault for not checking. I'll show you right now. I'll put some pictures up. So the deal is that here's the factory block off plate on the half tons. It is not open, it's sealed off, it's just a cast piece, because in the machining process they'll machine it out, and for like the bolt holes, and they'll leave it, but for the 3/4 tons and whatnot they'll drill and tap the hole so they have access to the oil on the inside. A lot of people use this piece and just drill and tap it, which is the cheaper and easier way to do it because you already have it. When I got my engine, I was stupid. I threw a lot of things away. Didn't think I'd need them. I should have kept them, but I bought a block off plate. And if you look here on the inside, this is what it looks like with the cooler off. There's the 2 holes on the very outside. That's for the bolts. But in the middle, there's 2 holes for the oil to come through. And if you look at my sensor, it is smack dab in the middle, so there's nowhere for it to go. So there's 2 routes I could take. One, which is probably the route I'm not going to do, is buy the factory piece, tap and drill it. I can do that if you guys want. It's really easy, but not everybody likes to do work themselves. They'd rather just bolt on. So what I'm going to do is buy a 1/8 NPT extension, just so this little prong doesn't stick out quite so far. So basically just put a spacer in there so that the deal will thread into the plate and the sensor will thread into that. I'll show you right here. And actually, it kind of just dawned on me that this sandwich adapter might actually be the way to go because the sensor is long. I could stick it in that port and probably wouldn't come out, but either way it's going to have to wait, because obviously if you take the oil filter off, a whole bunch of your oil is going to drain out. Not all of it, but whatever's in the block will come out. Not necessarily the pan, but anything above the filter, the line, whatever. But so next time we change the oil, if I haven't already gotten the extension for this, we'll go this route. But I kind of would rather do this route instead of having this there, because that's just one more thing that could come apart and have your oil go everywhere. So I learned a valuable lesson today. Again, do your research. That sensor is a little too long. That's my fault. So actually in this case it probably would have been easier just to use the factory block off plate and drill it and tap it to the 1/8 pipe thread and go that route, but we'll go ahead and order that and put it in.